Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. The one most dating coaches gloss over because it doesn't sell the fantasy. You can be the most supportive, understanding, low maintenance, always available woman in the world, and still watch a man treat you like an afterthought. You've done everything the relationship advice crowd told you to do. You've been patient. You've been kind. You've put his needs first. You've been the cool girl who doesn't make demands. And instead of that making him cherish you, it's made him take you for granted. Or worse, start to drift away completely. The brutal truth is this: being endlessly accommodating doesn't make you irresistible. It makes you invisible. Not because kindness is unattractive, it isn't, but because you've removed every single ounce of challenge from the dynamic. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And yet, when you contort yourself to be what you think a man wants, you're no longer truly you. You're a watered-down, overly agreeable version of yourself. That's not intimacy. That's self-erasure. The problem with perfect: we need to be brutally honest about what happens inside a man's mind when he feels like he already has you without effort. Human nature, male and female, is wired to value what is scarce, to put effort into what is uncertain, and to cherish what is not guaranteed. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, paired with high-value perception. Men, in particular, are evolutionarily wired to pursue what seems valuable and slightly out of reach. That's not manipulation, it's biology. It's the same instinct that kept our ancestors alive. Hunt the deer that's fast, climb the tree for the sweetest fruit, win the battle that proves your strength. When you're always there, always available, always yes, you send a subconscious signal. You don't need to work to keep me. I don't have many options. My life revolves around you. And in his mind, if there's no challenge, there's no chase. And without the chase, there's no fire. Why cool girl energy is a trap. There's a modern dating myth that says, if you're just easygoing enough, chill enough, drama-free enough, he'll see how amazing you are and never want to let you go. But in reality, being endlessly chill often reads as low standards or lack of boundaries. You become the background noise in his life. Comfortable, yes, but not compelling. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." That means owning your desires, needs, and standards, even if it risks rejection. Because when you deny them just to be likable, you're not building attraction, you're eroding it. Men don't chase what they already own. Let's strip away the romance for a second and look at this from a behavioral psychology standpoint. When a reward is always accessible without effort, it becomes less appealing. When a reward requires effort and can be lost, it becomes more valuable. This is not about playing hard to get in a fake way. It's about having a full, vibrant life where a man must rise to your level in order to be part of it. Being hard to get as a game is exhausting and transparent. Being hard to get because you genuinely have standards and priorities is magnetic. Challenge coldness. A lot of women misunderstand the concept of challenge. They think it means being distant, withholding affection, or acting uninterested to spark curiosity. That's not what I'm talking about. The kind of challenge that fuels genuine pursuit is about standards, knowing what kind of treatment you accept, boundaries, protecting your energy and time, substance, having opinions, interests, and a purpose beyond him. It's about being warm when he's earned it, and being unavailable when he hasn't. Think about it. The masculine mind, especially in the context of attraction, is deeply competitive. From childhood, boys are wired to measure themselves through achievement. Winning the game, scoring the goal, acing the test. When you hand over all your availability from day one, there's no win for him to pursue. Jung also said, "Man cannot stand a meaningless life." When there's nothing for him to strive toward in winning your heart, the relationship loses meaning for him, even if he can't articulate why. Cognitive dissonance. Why effort creates attachment. Here's where it gets fascinating. When a man invests effort, time, thought, energy into winning your attention, his brain starts to justify that effort. He thinks, If I'm working this hard, she must be worth it. I wouldn't put in this much effort if I didn't really like her. That's cognitive dissonance in action. His brain wants his actions and feelings to align. So the more effort he invests, the more valuable you become to him in his own mind. But here's the catch. If he never has to invest that effort, he never gets the chance to feel that deep attachment in the first place. The danger of predictability. Predictability feels safe, but in romance, it's the death of excitement. When he already knows exactly what you'll say, exactly when you'll reply, and exactly how you'll react, there's no mystery left to explore. And mystery isn't about withholding information. It's about having a rich inner world he doesn't fully know yet. It's about layers that unfold over time, not everything being handed to him up front. From desperation to selection. Most women give their power away in the early stages because they're so eager to be liked. They think, if I'm easy to be with, he'll stay. But the truth? If you're too easy to be with, he'll take you for granted. The shift is from seeking approval to offering access. You're not auditioning for a role in his life. You're deciding if he earns a role in yours. Jung's wisdom here is perfect. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. If you unconsciously believe that love is earned by self-abandonment, you'll keep ending up with men who confirm that belief. Not because it's fate, but because it's a pattern you haven't broken. By now you've seen why the always available, always accommodating approach drains attraction. The next step is to understand how to create space in a relationship. Not by playing cold, but by living in a way that naturally inspires pursuit. This is where authentic unavailability comes in. It's not about ignoring texts while you stare at your phone. It's not about making him jealous on purpose. It's not about creating artificial scarcity. Authentic unavailability means you're simply not always available, because you have a life filled with things that matter to you. Carl Jung said, "What you resist persists." If you resist the urge to fill your time with your own passions and instead cling to him for all your joy, you'll keep attracting situations where you feel like you have to chase. The way to break that cycle is not to resist space, but to embrace it. Why space is attractive. Let's look at the psychology here. When someone is always within reach, the mind gets used to their presence. There's no sense of anticipation or curiosity. It's all too familiar. But when there's space, the brain starts asking questions. What's she doing? Who is she with? I miss her. When will I see her next? That anticipation builds desire. It's the same principle as waiting for a new episode of your favorite show. Part of the excitement is the waiting. The core rule of authentic unavailability. Your time is valuable, so you treat it that way. That means you don't rearrange your entire schedule at the last minute unless it's truly worth it. You check your actual calendar before saying yes to plans. If you have commitments, whether it's yoga, dinner with friends, or working on your goals, you keep them. Not because you're being stubborn, but because you respect yourself. Jung said, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you." If you don't decide that your life is worth prioritizing, someone else will decide for you. And it usually won't be in your favor. How it looks in practice. 1. He texts to hang out tonight. You check your plans. If you're free and you want to see him, great. If you have something scheduled, you say, "I've got plans tonight, but I'd love to see you Friday." 2. He sends a funny meme at 2 p.m. while you're deep in work. Instead of dropping everything to reply, you finish what you're doing. You reply later with your full attention. 3. He starts to take longer to respond. You match his energy. You don't punish him. You simply use the extra time to focus on yourself. Selective availability. A big part of authentic unavailability is selective availability. Being fully present when you're with him, but not constantly accessible when you're apart. That means you don't respond to every text instantly. You don't always initiate. You give your attention as a choice, not as a reflex. This selective availability triggers what's called the scarcity principle. The idea that we value what feels limited in supply. But the key is that your scarcity is real, not faked. Real scarcity versus fake scarcity. Real scarcity. You're genuinely busy, invested in your passions, and have a social and professional life that matters to you. Fake scarcity. You wait 3 hours to reply while sitting on the couch refreshing Instagram. Men can feel the difference. Real scarcity has an energy of confidence. Fake scarcity carries an undercurrent of desperation. Your energy speaks louder than your actions. Here's the truth. You can follow all the rules about waiting to reply or not always saying yes, but if your energy is still obsessively focused on him, he'll feel it. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow, the unconscious parts of ourselves, is relevant here. If your shadow belief is, I'm not enough unless he wants me, then no matter how much space you try to create, your actions will leak neediness. The fix? You don't just act unavailable. You become a woman who is genuinely fulfilled in her own life, with or without him. Why this inspires pursuit. When a man feels he has to earn your time, his effort increases. He starts planning better, showing up consistently, and thinking about how to impress you. It's not because you're manipulating him. It's because you're signaling that you value yourself, so he must value you too if he wants to be part of your life. Boundaries are not barriers. Some women fear that creating space will push a man away. But the truth is, the right man won't be scared off. He'll be drawn in. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They're gates that allow the right people in under the right conditions. Practical ways to build authentic unavailability. 1. Fill your calendar. Schedule activities that matter to you. Workouts, hobbies, social events, skill building. 2. Keep promises to yourself. If you commit to something, don't cancel unless it's truly important. 3. Mix spontaneity with structure. Be open to last-minute fun sometimes, but not at the expense of your entire life rhythm. 4. Maintain your identity. Your friendships, career, and passions don't get put on hold just because a man is interested. Carl Jung believed that individuation, becoming your full, unique self, is essential to a meaningful life. If you dissolve your identity into someone else's world, you lose the very thing that made you attractive to them in the first place. He put it this way: the shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. Your way of creating space, your boundaries, and your standards will look different from someone else's, and that's exactly right, because they should be tailored to you. Why this works long term. Authentic unavailability isn't a phase, it's a way of living. It works in the honeymoon stage, and it works in a long-term relationship, because attraction isn't just built in the beginning. It's maintained by the constant dance between closeness and space, mystery and intimacy, pursuit and comfort. Men are wired to compete. It's not a flaw. It's not toxic masculinity. It's biology. From childhood, boys learn to establish worth through challenge. By winning the game, solving the problem, or proving themselves capable. And in relationships, that instinct doesn't just disappear. In fact, when it's engaged in the right way, it fuels attraction and deepens commitment. Carl Jung said, "Where wisdom reigns, there is no conflict between thinking and feeling." When you understand male psychology, you realize that his competitive drive isn't about domination. It's about alignment between what he feels for you and the actions he takes to keep you. The right kind of challenge bridges that gap. What competitive drive really means in love. Most women think competition in dating means making him jealous, flirting with other men, posting provocative pictures, or dropping hints about your other options. That's amateur hour. Why? Because jealousy often triggers insecurity, resentment, and distrust. It's a blunt tool. It can create short-term spikes in attention, but it rarely builds lasting attraction. The real competitive drive you want to tap into is his desire to compete with the best version of himself. In other words, he's not fighting other men for you. He's striving to rise to your standards and maintain the connection because he wants to. The role of standards. Men respect women who have standards, even when those standards require more from them. In fact, they respect them because they require more. If you have no standards, there's nothing for him to measure himself against. If you have clear, fair expectations, there's a goal to pursue, and his nature kicks in to meet it. Jung's perspective on individuation fits perfectly here. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. When you live by your standards without apology, you're not just asking him to step up, you're inviting him to meet you at your authentic best. Inconsistent effort? Here's what to do. Let's say he starts showing inconsistent effort. Long response times, flaking on plans, or putting in less energy. Most women either. 1. Accept it, hoping he'll come around. 2. Call it out with frustration or accusation. Both approaches usually backfire. Instead, try this. Mirror his inconsistency with your own availability, not from a place of spite, but from genuine self-respect. If he disappears for 3 days, you don't reward his return with instant availability. You respond when it suits you, with the same energy he's been giving. What happens in his mind? She's not sitting around waiting for me. I might need to step up if I want her attention again. This activates his competitive instinct in a healthy way. He's motivated to improve because he wants to earn your energy back. Earned intimacy. Intimacy isn't just physical. It's emotional, mental, and energetic. When you give away full access to all your emotional depth too soon, before he's proven consistent and trustworthy, you remove the need for him to work for it. Why would he invest more if he's already gotten the full reward without earning it? Earned intimacy means emotional openness grows in proportion to his effort and reliability. Your time, affection, and personal energy are privileges, not automatic entitlements. He understands that the deeper parts of you are treasures he must earn over time. One of the most powerful truths in human psychology is this: we value what we work for. Think about it. The DIY project you spent 20 hours building means more than something you bought ready-made. The promotion you worked for feels better than an unexpected bonus. The relationship you invested in feels deeper than one handed to you without effort. When he invests in you, he's telling his own subconscious, she's valuable. She's worth it. If there's no investment required, there's no story of value in his mind. Challenge versus difficult. Here's where a lot of women get it wrong. Being high value is not the same as being difficult. High value. You have boundaries, purpose, and standards. You make him work for deeper access, but you're warm and receptive when he earns it. Difficult mouse. You create unnecessary problems or obstacles just to prove a point. Men will step up for a high-value woman. They will step away from a perpetually difficult one. Jung's insight is relevant here. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. If you feel the urge to test him constantly, it might come from your own fear of not being chosen, not from true high standards. Practical ways to activate healthy competition. 1. State your preferences clearly. Instead of complaining, say, I love when a guy follows through on what he says. You're giving him a clear goal to aim for without controlling him. 2. Reward effort with warmth. When he steps up, respond positively. Men need to feel the payoff for their efforts. 3. Stay consistent with your own life. When you continue pursuing your own goals, it keeps the dynamic balanced. He sees that keeping you means keeping pace with your growth. 4. Match investment levels. Don't overgive when he's undergiving. Let his effort set the tone, then meet it. Why this filters out the wrong men. The beauty of this approach is that it automatically screens out men who aren't serious. A man looking for quick access with minimal effort will fade away. That's not a loss, it's clarity. The man who genuinely values you will not only meet your standards, but thank you for holding them. He'll feel proud of the connection because he worked for it. The role of inner confidence. All of this only works if you're coming from genuine confidence. If you're secretly afraid he'll leave, your standards will come off as defensiveness or manipulation. When you truly believe you're worth pursuing, you're relaxed about whether man steps up, because you know the right one will. Here's a scene most women know all too well. Things were going great. He was texting often, planning dates, making you feel seen. Then, almost without warning, the energy shifts. His texts are slower, his calls less frequent, his enthusiasm muted. This is the point where most women panic. They think, what did I do wrong? They respond by leaning in harder. More texts, more check-ins, more effort, desperately trying to pull him back. And ironically, that's exactly what pushes him further away. Carl Jung's words apply perfectly here. What you resist, persists. When you resist his pullback by chasing, you feed the very dynamic you want to stop. Instead of creating closeness, you create pressure. And pressure kills attraction. Understanding why men pull back. First, let's take the drama out of it. A pullback doesn't automatically mean he's losing interest. Men withdraw for a variety of reasons. Stress from work or personal issues, needing space to process feelings. Old emotional patterns that make closeness uncomfortable. Men often process emotions differently than women. Many need time alone to think, reset, or regain a sense of independence. The key is to understand. A pullback is an invitation to shift your energy, not a signal to chase harder. Why chasing backfires? When a man pulls away and you close the gap by over-pursuing, you confirm his subconscious sense that he needs space. You create an imbalance. His effort drops while yours spikes. You turn yourself into the pursuer, reversing the polarity of attraction. In his mind, the chase is over. He already has you. And there's nothing left to work for. The counterintuitive move, mirror and pull back. Instead of chasing, you mirror his energy. If his texts slow down, yours do too. If he stops initiating plans, you don't rush to fill the gap. If his availability decreases, you let yours match, or even become slightly less. This isn't punishment. This is maintaining energetic balance. It also does something powerful. It allows him to actually feel your absence, instead of taking your presence for granted. Loss aversion and attraction. Psychologists call it loss aversion. People are more motivated to avoid losing something than they are to gain something new. When you stop chasing and start living your life, he feels the potential loss of your attention, warmth, and presence. That loss aversion often pulls him back in. If he values the connection, the energy behind your pullback. Here's the crucial part most women miss. Your energy matters more than your actions. If you mirror his distance while secretly obsessing over him, he'll feel the anxious undercurrent. That energy pushes him away. The right energy is grounded and self-respecting. You're not avoiding him to teach a lesson. You're simply too engaged in your own life to make up for his lack of effort. You genuinely value yourself enough to not chase someone who isn't meeting you halfway. What you do with the space matters. When you pull back, your goal isn't to sit by the phone waiting for him to notice. Your goal is to fill that space with things that energize you. See friends you've been meaning to catch up with. Dive into hobbies or projects that light you up. Take care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Carl Jung said, "Solitude is for me a fount of healing which makes my life worth living." Use the space for you, not for strategizing about him. When he returns, if he comes back with renewed effort, respond warmly, but don't instantly hand back full access. Let him re-earn your consistency by being consistent himself. If he doesn't return, that's clarity. It tells you his interest wasn't strong enough, or his readiness wasn't aligned with yours. Either way, you've avoided months or years of over-investing in the wrong person. Evaluating the pullback. This is also your chance to ask, is this pullback a one-off caused by life stress? Or is it part of a pattern of emotional unavailability? A high-value woman doesn't just wait around for a man to figure it out. She observes patterns, trusts her instincts, and makes decisions based on the long-term picture, not temporary emotion. Signs he's worth waiting for. Not every pullback is a deal-breaker. He might be worth the space if he communicates even minimally about what's going on. His previous effort and consistency have been strong. He returns with genuine improvement, not just temporary attention. If none of those apply, the pullback is probably your cue to recenter your life around you. Outcome independence. This is where Jung's philosophy is gold. I'm not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Outcome independence means you want the relationship to work, but your sense of worth and happiness isn't tied to whether it does. When you master outcome independence, you respond to interest with openness. You respond to distance with self-focus. You stay steady, no matter his fluctuations. The magnetic effect. Here's why this approach works. 1. Self-respect is attractive. When you match his energy, you signal you won't overcompensate for his lack of effort. 2. He gets space to miss you. Distance lets him feel what life is like without your presence. 3. You break the chase reversal cycle. You keep him in the role of pursuer instead of flipping the script. What to avoid during his pullback? Over-communicating your disappointment. A single calm conversation is fine. Repeated reminders are not. Posting for attention. Trying to provoke a reaction through social media usually comes off as transparent, making your life smaller. Don't cancel plans, pause goals, or stop living just to be more available in case he comes around. The long game. When you handle pullbacks with grace, the wrong men fade away quickly, saving you wasted time. The right man returns more committed because he knows your value. It's not about getting him back. It's about keeping your dignity and clarity intact. Everything we've covered so far. Limiting availability, engaging his competitive instincts, handling pullbacks, works beautifully. But here's the catch. If you're just acting, confident while feeling insecure underneath, it will eventually crack. Men may not always articulate it, but they feel the difference between authentic, high-value energy and a carefully constructed facade. Carl Jung put it perfectly. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Real confidence isn't about pretending you're never afraid or insecure. It's about accepting every part of yourself, the good, the flawed, and the growing, and showing up from that place of self-trust. Why confidence beats any tactic. A tactic is a move you make. Confidence is the ground you stand on. Tactic without confidence, temporary results. Confidence without tactics, natural magnetism. When you're confident, you don't have to think, should I text him now or wait 3 hours? You naturally give space because your life is full. You naturally set boundaries because you respect yourself. You naturally inspire him to rise to your standards because you believe in your worth. The inner roots of confidence. True confidence comes from 3 main sources. 1. Self-trust. You know you can handle whatever comes, whether that's love, loss, or change. 2. Self-awareness. You know your strengths, weaknesses, and patterns, and you're not afraid to face them. 3. Self-respect. You treat yourself as someone worthy of care, attention, and love, and you expect others to do the same. Without these roots, you're constantly scanning for reassurance from him. And the more you need his reassurance, the less magnetic you become. Jung and the shadow. Jung talked often about the shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide or deny. For many women, the shadow includes fear of abandonment, belief that love must be earned through overgiving, doubt about their own desirability. If you ignore your shadow, it runs your love life from the background. But when you acknowledge it, you take back the steering wheel. Try this exercise. Write down the qualities you most want to hide from a partner. E.g., I get jealous. I can be clingy. I hate confrontation. Ask yourself, where did this come from? When did I first feel this? Instead of shaming yourself, offer compassion to that younger version of you who learned those fears. When you integrate your shadow, you stop seeking partners to complete you and start choosing partners who complement you. The daily practices that build confidence. Confidence isn't a one-time decision, it's a habit. Here are 3 daily anchors. 1. The mirror check. Every morning, stand in front of the mirror and say, out loud, I am the prize. I am the adventure. I am worth showing up for. It might feel silly at first, but you're reprogramming your self-concept. 3. Micro boundaries. Practice small acts of self-respect daily, declining an invitation you don't want to accept. Speaking up when something doesn't work for you. Ending conversations that drain your energy. Small boundaries build the muscle for bigger ones in relationships. 3. Pleasure before performance. Do at least one thing each day purely for your own pleasure, not productivity. Read in the sun. Buy flowers for yourself. Dance in your kitchen. Men are drawn to women who radiate enjoyment of life because it signals abundance, not neediness. Confidence in action. When you have real confidence, You don't fear his pullback. You use it as space to nurture yourself. You don't lower your standards to keep him. You raise your standards to attract better matches. You don't chase validation, you choose connection. Replacing the scarcity mindset. One of the biggest confidence killers in dating is scarcity thinking. What if I don't find anyone else like him? That mindset keeps you holding on to mediocre treatment. The truth, if you attracted him, you can attract someone else. And possibly someone even more aligned. Your worth isn't determined by whether one particular man stays. Your worth is constant. You're rooted in the belief, I am whole without you. If you add to my life, wonderful. If not, I will still thrive. The magnetic shift. Here's the paradox. When you stop needing a man to validate your worth becomes more visible to him. He senses, you have options, because you do. You have a full life, because you live it. You won't settle for less than you deserve. Because you believe you deserve more. That's when a man's desire shifts from casual to committed. Not because you pressured him, but because you inspired him. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This, not tactics, not games, is the real goal. Because when you fully become yourself, you won't just attract a man. You'll attract the right man. The one who meets you in your fullness, not just your fragments. Where this leaves you, you now have the mindset and boundaries that make you high value without effort. The understanding of male psychology that keeps attraction alive. The confidence to navigate any shift without losing yourself. From here, it's not about winning a man. It's about choosing a man who is worthy of you. Because the truth is, you've always been the prize. Now you just know how to live like it. 3 micro-boundaries. Practice small acts of self-respect daily. Declining an invitation you don't want to accept. Speaking up when something doesn't work for you. Ending conversations that drain your energy. Small boundaries build the muscle for bigger ones in relationships. 3. Pleasure before performance. Do at least one thing each day purely for your own pleasure, not productivity. Read in the sun. Buy flowers for yourself. Dance in your kitchen. Men are drawn to women who radiate enjoyment of life because it signals abundance, not neediness. Confidence in action. When you have real confidence, you don't fear his pullback. You use it as space to nurture yourself. You don't lower your standards to keep him. You raise your standards to attract better matches. You don't chase validation, you choose connection. Replacing the scarcity mindset. One of the biggest confidence killers in dating is scarcity thinking. What if I don't find anyone else like him? That mindset keeps you holding on to mediocre treatment. The truth, if you attracted him, you can attract someone else. And possibly someone even more aligned. Your worth isn't determined by whether one particular man stays. Your worth is constant. You're rooted in the belief, I am whole without you. If you add to my life, wonderful. If not, I will still thrive. The magnetic shift. Here's the paradox. When you stop needing a man to validate your worth becomes more visible to him. He senses, you have options, because you do. You have a full life, because you live it. You won't settle for less than you deserve. Because you believe you deserve more. That's when a man's desire shifts from casual to committed. Not because you pressured him, but because you inspired him. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This, not tactics, not games, is the real goal. Because when you fully become yourself, you won't just attract a man. You'll attract the right man. The one who meets you in your fullness, not just your fragments. Where this leaves you, you now have the mindset and boundaries that make you high value without effort. The understanding of male psychology that keeps attraction alive. The confidence to navigate any shift without losing yourself. From here, it's not about winning a man. It's about choosing a man who is worthy of you. Because the truth is, you've always been the prize. Now you just know how to live like it." If this resonated, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs this, and subscribe for more tips that actually work. Let's grow together.